An opinion program. The opinions expressed by the hosts and guests of this program are not the opinions of the management, staff, and advertisers of this station. Please direct all criticism, concern, and adulation to the hosts of this program.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics. This week, I'm Dale Jackson. I'm a radio talk show. You can hear my show from 5 until 9 a.m. on WVNN in Huntsville. With me, as always, Mecca Musick, the CEO of 256today.com. Smart news for smart people, smart enough to know that if the president's coming to your campus, you don't start crying about it, okay? You don't do that. But at the University of Alabama, some students have done just that. Alumni, too, believe it or not. Our guest this week is an alumni of the University of Alabama, believe it or not.
Yes.
John Merrill, he's the former Secretary of State. We will talk with him about that and a bunch of other things.
If I remember correctly, he won the election there.
Against the machine.
Yes.
I know I've heard it enough. AL.com is obsessed with that. They were such nerds in college that they can't get over it. But that's okay. We'll talk about that maybe with John Merrill. And then I've got a parting shot for you about banned books and the expanding battlefield of that. Right now, though, let's go ahead and get to the 2-minute warning. There is a cash out going on Redstone Arsenal. It's not a crash out. The kids at the University of Alabama, they're crashing out. This is a cash out. Kash Patel, the FBI director, comes to the state of Alabama and says, hey, this is a pretty great place. We should move more people here. There's already 500 coming here from the FBI soon. Other buildings will go online, and there's room for 1,700 more FBI agents. Senator Katie Britt, Senator Tommy Tuberville, who we should probably talk about here in a little bit as well. They were with him, and they were all very excited about what's going on there. I got to ask you this, Mecca.
Yes.
All these jobs that are coming here.
Yes.
My listeners tell me maybe it's too much.
No, it's not too much.
Is that possible?
Don't be like those people. Don't be like those people. So, like we were talking before, I was there. I was covering this. You had the Director Patel in the middle, and Senator Britt on one side, Senator Tuberville on the other. And you could genuinely tell, and this happens a lot when leaders come here to Alabama, to Redstone Arsenal. There's a lot of great things here. Leaders, directors, they come in and they see things, and you can genuinely see they are wowed by the capabilities. And you could see that with Patel. He was definitely impressed. He was definitely talking about future plans. They want to do interagency expertise training here, as well as with international partners. It was really, I think he was duly impressed, as he should be.
So the federal government...
And I think we will see more and more coming here.
So the federal government is still going through this whole Doge thing right now. Not only is it about waste, fraud, and abuse, there's also a decentralization push,
Right.
I think. They had talked about taking the Department of Agriculture and putting it in Kansas or something. Like they've been talking about those things, stuff like this. FBI headquarters, too, they've talked about being here, and I don't know how much that's going to be official, but the reality...
HQ2?
Yeah.
What they call, yeah.
Right.
It's unofficial official.
Right. And so then you want to have, bring bodies. Look, the deal is you want to get as many people out of Washington, D.C. as you can to where they're not servicing the United States Senate.
And Director Patel has made that a priority.
He
has said that, and Huntsville, I think, is going to play a very big part in
let
that.
them get out there and actually do their jobs. And again, I remind people all the time, the best part about this is getting those FBI agents out in the real world, having them go to the grocery store with you, go to school with your kids, play Little League and all these other things, and let them see what the real world is like and get out of Washington, D.C. And I think that is part of what's going on right now. All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about this Secretary of State fight, which I am sure is going to come up here with our guest, John Merrill. A little back and forth over the way you would verify the voter rolls. And this fight actually was going on during the campaign as well. And Wes Allen got elected, and they weren't running against each other, obviously. But when he got elected, he left the way John Merrill was verifying voters on the rolls and came up with a new way that it was allegedly more state-focused and things of that nature. And maybe some of that bad blood has continued. Now, it's gotten personal. Now, some people might say, like me,
yes,
that this is maybe a little bit of a preview of a lieutenant governor's race.
If a lieutenant governor's race was to happen, perhaps so.
Yes, this might be a little preview of that. Is that what this is about? Or are they really, I just have a hard time believing that both of these men are like, my way of verifying the voter rolls is better.
No, okay, I think you're wrong on that.
You think it is that?
I think, a potential upcoming, matchup in the lieutenant governor race is definitely a part of it. But in all my experience, 20 years of covering Alabama issues
40,
and politics,
60,
and covering things. The Secretary of State that I have dealt with and everything, they take this very seriously.
Yes.
They take their job very seriously. They take their duties very seriously. This is big time serious for Secretaries of State.
Yeah.
And I think if you come out and you're saying like, no, you didn't do it right, or like, it's not the nicest.
Here's how I look at it. Look, when John Merrill was Secretary of State, he took this very seriously.
Yes.
And he was on top of it. And look, we had prosecutions. We had all these things where people were doing the wrong thing. It continues. So it's just a different way of doing things.
Right.
And each one's going to believe that theirs is probably the best way of doing it. A lot of states got out of the system that was the old system. And I've talked to John Merrill about this. Some of the stuff going around is kind of questionable about how people criticized it. You can listen to John Merrill explain that to you. But I still think it's about lieutenant governor's race. I mean, I think they believe this. I'm not suggesting they don't believe what they're saying, because I do. I think they do.
I think that's a part of it.
But
honestly.
Here's the question: are they having this conversation if that other conversation isn't taking place right now?
Okay,
Possibly,
that's a good point.
possibly,
That's a good point.
but maybe not. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Alpha Insurance. Okay, this seems to be a thing that people are wanting to do, and there are a lot of people who are pretty upset about this. It's a different set of rules for them. They get to set up their own insurance.
And we're talking about health insurance, because they offer, other insurance.
Sorry,
We're talking about health insurance.
Thank you, Mecca. Health insurance. I think that would have been pretty clear if I said what I was about to say, where they don't have to worry about pre-existing conditions.
I am here to help.
And all of those other things.
Yes.
So there are some people who are upset about the way that this is going down. But this is what I would say. They are just powering through it.
It's pretty impressive, actually, because this is a big swing, and we're not talking about minor opposition to this. These are major players who are opposing this. They're opposing it for they're not regulated. They're not under the same regulatory standards that we are. They can refuse. They can refuse to insure people with pre-existing conditions, whereas other insurance providers are not allowed to do that. And there have been lawmakers along the path of this bill going forward that have added amendments. They get taken off. They have tried to add that, try to address some of these concerns, and it's been shot down, and this bill just keeps marching forward.
One of the things I found interesting about this is all this talk in the past where you had to have insurance that had certain things on it here or there, you'd get fined and stuff like that. That's all gone.
Yeah.
And now this is much more of an open playing field here. And I actually like this idea. Now, the problem here is...
Well, and it is for farmers.
Right.
I don't know if we mentioned that.
Of course. But if you go out and you do this, and let's just say you become destitute because it doesn't cover like a pre-existing condition or something like that, does the government come in and cover you because when you're destitute? The answer to that is probably yes.
Yeah.
I mean that's just the reality of this. So this will be a cheaper form of insurance for them. Will it cover as much? Cover pre-existing conditions? No. I mean, it's more of a niche thing, and they want to go down this path. And
I have to say there is a similar. I need to dive into the details more, but there is a similar bill or a similar situation in Tennessee where this happens.
Well, here's what I want to see. If they are successful, does BCA go, maybe we'd like to do this?
Yeah.
Does the RSA go, we've made a lot of really bad decisions lately, maybe we'd like to do this? I mean, do we see other entities take this up and say, maybe we'd like to go down this path? This could be a big deal.
It is.
It could be a big deal.
It's a big deal as it is, and it
also
could
could
be
be
a bigger
stopped.
deal. Could be.
I mean, it could be stopped, but I mean, they're chugging right along.
Yes, they are.
All right, last thing here. Let's talk a little more about gambling. And this kind of snuck up on people because I know it snuck up on me. Now, my take on gambling is fluid. I'll put it to you that way. Some days I want to have all the gambling in the world, and I want to have like a slot machine down there at the Circle K. I mean, and other times I don't want lottery anywhere near me, nor do I want gambling commercials on television. I mean, who knows? It just depends on the particular bill. I don't like this.
Okay.
And let me tell you what this is.
Explain this, though, because this is wild.
This is a backdoor to gambling. And Greg Albritton, the state senator, said, if we don't do a comprehensive bill, you're going to see a bunch of little local bills. And the legislators do this thing where they say, well, I'm a gentleman of the legislature, and I'm not going to interfere in any bills that don't impact my county. So if Lowndes County wants to do hangings at the courthouse square, then that's just on them, and they can go right ahead. And essentially, that's what this is. Now, they have gambling.
Hangings, but yes.
Right. They have gambling already there, and the Attorney General said, yeah, this is illegal.
Right.
And this would say, is it? I mean, is it? Maybe it's legal now? And the problem I have with this is, if we're going to allow it, let's do it. If we're not going to do it, let's not allow it. And these legislators who are, and this is what kills me about these legislators, I'll vote yes for gambling. I'm saying, really? Aren't you the guy representing Phoenix City? Would you want one in Phoenix City? And he'll go, oh, no, not here. And I'm like, why? Oh, because they killed the former Attorney General there, and it's a bad. Oh, but you're okay with it in Lowndes County or Greene. You're okay with that. And this is basically the same thing where they take a pass. And I got to tell you, I hope it fails. I hope it fails in the House. It doesn't get through. It's already passed the Senate.
It was pretty sneaky. Let's be honest. This was a pretty sneaky little thing coming through.
Mecca, I hate to say this.
No, you don't.
They don't care. I mean, let me just put it to you this way. I mean, I'm telling you.
No, I agree.
They're like, oh, you do what? Lowndes County? Oh, never mind. I don't care. Yeah. And they just took a walk. Some people took a walk. Some people voted yes. I'm just telling you. Look, I think this is how gambling happens. But I think they fail here because I don't know how. It's crazy to say, okay, we're not even going to discuss gambling except for these two. These places can do it. I hope they fail. I hope they fail. Coming up here in just a second, John Merrill will be with us. He's the former Secretary of State. Is he running for something else? I don't know. Maybe we'll talk to him about that. But when we get to the end of the program, I got a party shot for you as well. So keep it locked right here on Alabama Politics This Week.
Join the Fox 54 sports team for local highlights and insights. Stream Fox 54 Sports Extra anytime on Fox 54 Plus. Live, local, and always on.
Every year in Alabama, we miss out on between $65 and $90 million in tax revenue by not legalizing sports betting here in our state. Money that can be used to improve our roads and bridges, or elevate our school systems and support our first responders. Contact your legislator to ensure sports betting is legalized in Alabama. Learn more at betonalabama.com.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for University Kia. This is my son Grant. He's a busy guy. Chess, piano, basketball, wrestling, baseball, you name it. There's probably some stuff that I missed that my wife will be mad about, but here's the thing. It's important to have reliable transportation. And my friends at University Kia, they take great care of me. I've been driving Sportages my entire life. My wife drives a Telluride now, and it is the perfect vehicle for the busy family. Folks, University Kia, let them take care of you like they've taken care of my family. That's University Kia. Learn more at universitykia.com.
Tom, Grant and Dale Jackson sent you.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
Call 877-744-0750. That's 877-744-0750. 877-744-0750.
What if this happened to you when you're alone? Or what if it happened here? With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your Care Watch right now. Operators are standing by.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics. This week, I am Dale Jackson. With me, as always, Mecca Musick.
And this week, we have former Secretary of State John Merrill here to join us. Thank you so much for being here.
Mecca, thank you for having me. Dale, great to be with you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So before we get into a lot of the things we were discussing earlier, tell me about the office of the Secretary of State and your time there.
Well, the office of the Secretary of State is the oldest office in the history of the state of Alabama. Alabama had a Secretary of State before we were a state. In 1818, Henry Hitchcock was appointed by our fifth president, James Monroe, to serve in that role. And since that time, we've had 48 individuals who've served as Alabama's 54 Secretaries of State. And I was the 53rd Secretary of State. The Code and the Constitution give more than 1,000 assigned duties and responsibilities to the person that holds this position. Those include, but are not limited to, the things we chose to concentrate on during the 8 years I was in office, which are elections, election administration, voter registration, all the things related to electioneering. Then business and corporations, licensing, trademarking, and international adoptions. We chose those things because those are the things that most directly impact the lives of Alabamians on a daily basis.
So you're the current Secretary of State, Wes Allen, and you had a little back and forth recently in the media. I'm going to oversimplify it, and you can tell me the truth. You liked System A when it came to verifying voter rolls. He liked System B. They were very different, but they were also very similar in what they did. Why was your system
they're not
better?
really different at all.
Okay.
This is the point, Dale. When I became secretary, there was no mechanism in place to allow Alabama to compare their voter rolls to any other state in the union. It was not allowed by law. I went to Will Ainsworth, who was a freshman in the legislature. I explained to him this was a great bill. It would enable us to check our roll against other rolls in the other states, and that there were two technologies that were already available that were being used successfully. One was the Kansas Interstate Crosscheck System, and that one had been started by Chris Kovac, who is currently the Attorney General in Kansas. The other one was the ERIC system, the Electronic Registration Information Center, which at the time was about 2 years of age. It was in its infancy. And he passed that legislation for me, and that enabled us to join. Now, as things progressed and more states joined, and I think at the time that I left office, there were 34 states that were members of the Electronic Registration Information System. But about November of 21, there began to be some conversation from some people who were enemies of the ERIC system that said that ERIC was started by George Soros. Now, as you know, he's a straw man. He is one of the guys that people like to say is against everything that's American, baseball, and apple pie. And because of that, there were some people that took that and ran with it, and ultimately, a state, Louisiana, dropped out. Unfortunately, when that took place without the secretary at the time talking to anybody, it put everybody else in a defensive posture. And I was able to talk to all the other Republican secretaries, and we saved that. But Wes Allen took that as an initiative in about February of 2022 and said if he becomes a secretary, he's going to withdraw. My question was at the time, what are you going to replace it with? Because there'd never been any impropriety introduced. No vulnerabilities exposed. No errors had ever occurred. And there was no proof at all, and still remains none today, where George Soros had anything to do with it.
I'll stop right there, then
Yes,
I'll let
sir.
you continue the rest of this. But the
Yes,
George
sir.
Soros things, and we talked about this on my radio show
Yes, sir.
this week. The George Soros bit comes from the fact that in part of the funding of this, or one of the groups that supported it,
That started
had
it.
initially
The
got
Pew
some money from
Charitable
George
Trust.
Soros a long time ago.
That's right.
Not that it was connected to this whole thing. That's the correlation.
That's
for
right.
continuing.
And George Soros is a contributor to the Pew Charitable Trust, which was the body that initiated this process, the ERIC process. But there are people in Huntsville. There's people in Montgomery and Birmingham and Mobile, all across the state that give to the Pew Charitable Trust. But nevertheless, there were things that were introduced that allowed us to be more effective in maintaining the best voter rolls in the history of the state and the top voter rolls in the nation as recognized.
And for all the
national
complaining
voters.
about it that came from our friends on the left and things like that, there were never any real problems. They never were successful in challenges or anything that they did.
Still hadn't been.
Still haven't been. So you guys have been successful. So there's that disagreement. And I
So
think
each component that Secretary Allen has introduced in his AVID system already existed in the ERIC system as far as checking or cross-checking was concerned. And the one benefit that ERIC provided that the AVID system did not provide was it also checked against election results. So if you participated in Tennessee's election and Alabama's election, that information was introduced, and then we could identify those people,
And charge
investigate
them.
them, and prosecute them.
So I'm going to ask you something a little off base. I mean, that whole thing is an interesting conversation, but I guess I just want to ask you this. Are you running for lieutenant governor?
A little off base?
Yeah, it's a little off base. A little off base.
Well, there's a number of people.
I have to ask you because it was on the screen earlier.
Sure. And there's a number of people, Dale, across our state in all 67 counties and a number of the 465 municipalities that have encouraged me to run for office in 2026. A lot of people want me to run for lieutenant governor. Some people have asked me to run for governor. Some people have asked me to run for the U.S. Senate if a spot opens up. Others have asked me to run for other various offices.
City council.
We have not made any overtures. We live in an unincorporated area that Tuscaloosa County.
Yeah, there
so
you go.
we're not making a statement at this time about what we intend to do, if we even intend to run for office in 26. But I am honored and thrilled that people care and are encouraging.
Let me ask you really quick. We've done predictions, and for me, this is one of my most favorite part of Alabama politics. So I want to go through your predictions.
Sure.
Better do it quick. We got about a minute and a half.
Will Tuberville run for governor? And if he does, who's going to run for his seat?
Well, if Coach Tuberville runs for governor, and I expect that he will, he'll be the governor. Coach Tuberville is the most popular elected official in Alabama.
He can do whatever he wants, even that county
That's
commission
exactly
seat
right.
Definitely.
No doubt about it. And if he runs for governor, that will vacate the Senate seat. I think the primary chief credible candidate that will run will be our sitting Attorney General, Steve Marshall. I think he can be very well funded. He can get money from our state as well as people in Washington and other parts of the nation. He'd be very formidable.
There you go. Secretary of State, former Secretary of State, John Merrill. We appreciate him coming on the program and speaking with us. Mecca's leaving as well, so the show will get so much better as we get to the parting shot. Thank you for watching and listening to Alabama Politics this week.
Fox 54 Plus is your streaming home for news from the world of sports. Join the Fox 54 sports team for local highlights and insights. Stream Fox 54 Sports Sector anytime on Fox 54 Plus, live, local, and always on.
Every year in Alabama, we miss out on between $65 and $90 million in tax revenue by not legalizing sports betting here in our state. Money that can be used to improve our roads and bridges, or elevate our school systems and support our first responders. Contact your legislator to ensure sports betting is legalized in Alabama. Learn more at betonalabama.com.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for University Kia. This is my son Grant. He's a busy guy. Chess, piano, basketball, wrestling, baseball, you name it. There's probably some stuff that I missed that my wife will be mad about, but here's the thing. It's important to have reliable transportation. And my friends at University Kia, they take great care of me. I've been driving Sportages my entire life. My wife drives a Telluride now, and it is the perfect vehicle for the busy family. Folks, University Kia, let them take care of you like they've taken care of my family. That's University Kia. Learn more at universitykia.com.
Tom, Grant and Dale Jackson sent you.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
Call 877-744-0750. That's 877-744-0750. 877-744-0750.
What if this happened to you when you're alone? Or what if it happened here? With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your Care Watch right now. Operators are standing by.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics This Week. I am Dale Jackson. We're about to jump into the parting shot. It's about book bans because this is never ending, apparently. But before I get into that, head on over to yellowhammernews.com. Sign up for my email blast, the 7 things you should be talking about today. And every single day, Monday through Friday, you'll get a list from me of the 7 things you should be talking about that day. It's that simple. yellowhammernews.com. Right now, though, let's go ahead and get to that parting shot. My party shot this week is directed at everyone that insists we continue having battles over books, library books, curriculum books in the schools, whatever it is, you're losing. Okay, I don't know how else to put this to the people who insist on the LGBTQ, the racial focus, and all this other stuff. You are losing at every turn. You're losing at the local level. Fairhope is about to lose some of their library funding. You're losing at the Supreme Court. Elena Kagan, a liberal justice, is saying, yeah, I can see why people might be upset by some of this stuff. Justice Gorsuch started reading some of it, and the lawyers were like, no, that's not what it is. He's like, it's right here. It clearly has this stuff in it. Look, the people have spoken loud and clear. They've decided they do not want this stuff in their curriculum and in their libraries. Do what the people want or pay the penalty. You can continue fighting this culture war, and kind of privately, I hope that you keep doing it, because you will continue losing that culture war over and over and over again as long as the battle goes on. That's up to you. Please keep continuing. You also continue watching and listening to Alabama Politics This Week. Thank you very much for being here all over the state of Alabama, and we'll be back next week.
Every year in Alabama, we miss out on between $65 and $90 million in tax revenue by not legalizing sports betting here in our state. Money that can be used to improve our roads and bridges, or elevate our school systems and support our first responders. Contact your legislator to ensure sports betting is legalized in Alabama. Learn more at betonalabama.com.
What if this happened to you? Or what if it happened here? With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your Care Watch right now. Operators are standing by.